Welcome back to Resoundingly Human, a podcast series that highlights the work of Inforum's members who are transforming the world around us in ways both big and small. I'm your host, Ashley Kay, and today I have the pleasure of speaking with Dick den Hertog, Professor of Operations Research at the University of Amsterdam, who will be sharing a sneak peek of his keynote presentation titled Analytics for a Better World, which will showcase the transformative potential of analytics in enabling non-governmental organizations, or NGOs, to make a greater impact on the UN's Sustainable Development Goals, or SDGs. Dick's extraordinary career has included opportunities and adventures in both academia and industry. He is a visiting professor at MIT, and his research interests cover various fields in prescriptive analytics, in particular linear and nonlinear optimization, and most recently robust optimization and optimization with machine learning. Dick is also interested in applications that contribute to a better society. In fact, he's a two-time recipient of the Inforum's Franz Edelman Award, in 2013 with the Delta Program Commissioner for his research on optimal flood protection, and in 2021 for his research on optimizing the food supply chain for the UN World Food Program. In addition, he is the co-founder and Science to Impact Director of the Analytics for a Better World Institute. Before we start, be sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss any of our future videos. All right, let's get started. Dick, I'd love to kick things off by asking you to share how you got into the field of ORMS and analytics.
It was in fact a long time ago when I was studying mathematics in Delft. I also had a teacher there, Professor Kees Roos, and he taught optimization courses. And I was very inspired by that, and therefore decided to write my thesis on optimization topic, and afterwards even to do my PhD under his supervision.
As I mentioned in my introduction, you have been a recipient of not one, but two Inforum's Franz Edelman Awards. First of all, congratulations. That is truly an incredible accomplishment. Could you share a little bit about each of these projects and the impact they've had and continue to have?
So in fact, the first project, that was about the optimization of the dike heights in the Netherlands. We received the prize for that in 2013, so that's already an old project. That started in 2007. And in fact, in the Netherlands, it's very important to safeguard the Netherlands against the floods. So 2/3 of the Netherlands is flood prone. And dikes in the Netherlands are very important. And in fact, in 1995, there was a big threat. And I was also evacuated because of the threat of a flood. And then in 2007, the Dutch government asked us to start a project on optimizing the dike heights in the Netherlands. So we have 3,000 kilometers of dikes in the Netherlands. So we started that project with a big team. And finally came up with some conclusions and some advices. And it was also discussed with the current king of the Netherlands and with the House of Parliament. They agreed on this plan. And now it is stated in the law, and now it is implemented. And the estimate is that it saved the Dutch government 7 billion euros. So that's the first project. And the second project is for the United Nations World Food Program. So that project was led by my colleague and friend Hein Fleuren, also Koen Peters. So in that project, in fact, what we did is the following. So we built a model to optimize the food supply chain. So we optimized the ingredients of the daily meal for those people that are in hunger, and in such a way that all kinds of nutritional requirements are satisfied, and also the total cost of purchasing and transportation is minimized. And that was and is still used in all their operations. And because of that, they can now feed millions more people.
Those are both incredible contributions. And I can tell in hearing you talk about them that they obviously have a personal connection to you. And you take a lot of, joy in having made those contributions. So Dick, of all the different challenges you've tackled in the interest of making the world a better place, do you have a personal favorite, one for which the impact really resonates with you?
Yes, I think besides the two that I already mentioned, there's also a recent project that we did, and it was for the ocean cleanup. So the Ocean Cleanup is an organization in the Netherlands that tries to remove the plastic from the oceans. So in fact, due to the current, the plastic in the oceans are more or less collected in 5 places, 5 hotspots in the world, in the oceans. But mind you, those areas are really big. So for example, the biggest one, it's called the GPBP, that is between the Hawaii Islands and California. That is 3 times France. So really big area. And they try to remove the plastic. And in those areas, the big area, the plastic density is not homogeneous. And so they have those big systems, so half a circle, and they sail in a certain direction and then try to collect the plastic. So it's like I will always say, Pac-Man game. So you would like to get the maximal amount of plastic in a certain amount of time. So what we did is we also developed optimization methods for that, such that, let's say, every morning, the optimal route is sent to the captain of the boat, such that the maximum amount of plastic can be collected. And due to that, was even a statement of the CEO of Ocean Cleanup that due to this optimization, they can now halve the time that is needed to empty the oceans from the plastic. And also they saved half of the cost, which is $4 billion.
I'd love to have you share some insight into the Analytics for a Better World Institute. In particular, what brought you to found this organization? And I'd also love to hear some details on your role there as the Science to Impact Director.
In fact, many years ago, I read a book. The title of the book is Excellence Without a Soul, written by a former Harvard dean. And I was so inspired by that. So I decided to focus more on societal problems and try to solve the wicked problems that we have. And that finally also ended up in setting up this institute, Analytics for a Better World, where we try to use analytics, but also to develop new analytics techniques when necessary to contribute to the Sustainable Development Goals. And that is always in combination with NGOs. So we are collaborating with the World Bank, with Doctors Without Borders, the Ocean Cleanup, the World Health Organization, AMREF, and so on, and so on. So that's the aim of the Institute. And besides that, we also have an educational program. So we try to also teach those basics of analytics to employees of NGOs, such that they at least recognize the value of analytics, because that is the idea behind it, namely that the value of analytics that we all know for, let's say, companies, for the industry, at least the same value of analytics is there in, let's say, the NGO world, but that's unexploited. So that's the aim of the world, of the Analytics for a Better World. And my title is Science to Impact Director. I'm maybe the only one in the world with that title, but that is chosen on purpose because the main focus is really impact. So I always say the first goal of our institute is impact. The second goal is impact. The third goal is impact. And yes, if you can write a paper, that's nice, but impact is really the goal.
Impact is the most important thing.
Yeah.
So one of the unique objectives of Informs is providing opportunities for our members to connect and collaborate, share ideas. As someone who has worked in both academia and industry, can you share some personal insight into the importance of collaboration between these two focuses?
I think that is extremely important. So in fact, after my PhD, I went to industry and worked for a consultancy company for 7 years. And after that, I went back to academia. But still, half of my time, I do more theoretical research, and the other half of my time, more applied research. So the connection is really very, very, very important. First of all, it inspires me in the research challenges, in my research directions. And I think it's also very nice to have those examples when you are teaching, because that's very inspiring also for the students. And also in the Analytics for the Better World Institute, we are collaborating with companies who offer their time to contribute also in the projects. So I think the collaboration and connection is extremely important.
I think it's time to dive into your session at the upcoming Analytics Plus conference. Without giving too much away, can you share a sneak peek at what you'll be discussing?
I will, in fact, try to argue that with analytics, we can contribute a lot in those sustainable development goals for the NGOs. So that is, in fact, my message. And I will give many examples like the ones that I already showed you and describe how analytics has been used to really contribute to a better world. Then finally, also what I would like to do is a kind of a call to action for people. because we also would like to collaborate with researchers, and I would like to do a call to action and ask them also to contribute to research that is beneficial for these type of problems, but also to companies to contribute to the Sustainable Development Goals by maybe also offering some time of their employees to work on these type of projects.
Ultimately, what do you hope is the biggest takeaway for attendees from your session, something that they'll take back with them to influence and motivate their own work?
At least what I would like to convince the people is that analytics can have a really significant contribution in those Sustainable Development Goals for the NGOs. And again, I think the takeaway is also the call to action, and for the researchers, for the companies, but maybe also for Informs. So I think I also have a call to action for Informs. So I think that Informs could also contribute a lot here to better connect and help those people who are working NGOs.
I, for one, am even more excited to hear your presentation at the 2025 Informs Analytics Plus conference. And to everyone out there listening, you'll just have to register for the conference if you want to hear more. So Dick, we've talked a lot about your work and your upcoming session at the conference. I'd love to give our listeners the opportunity to learn more about you. When you aren't saving the world with analytics, what are your hobbies? What do you do with your downtime to relax and reboot?
Maybe it's not a hobby, but spent also much time on that, and that also relaxed me a lot. So I have a big family. I have 5 children, and also 2 grandchildren, granddaughters, and the third one is almost coming. So that gives me a lot of joy also, and a lot of relax. And secondly, I'm also reading and also watching many videos on philosophy, but also theology a lot. And also the last one is very important for me. So I also spend much time on that.
What's something about you that people might be surprised to find out? A fun fact. It can be literally anything.
Yes. Okay. Now, the first one is about, so I was born and also raised up in Gouda, or near Gouda. And so I love Gouda cheese very much. So I eat a lot of Gouda cheese. And the second one is that I really love watching police chasing videos, and especially the American ones.
Those are very exciting, yes. Do you have a new challenge, project, or even a bucket list item that you're looking forward to tackling?
So I think we can also contribute a lot in global health, and especially, and we already did several projects in that area, on accessibility to healthcare. So one of the Sustainable Development Goals is also that people have access to healthcare, and that healthcare is in, let's say, the vicinity of the population. So we are now doing projects. We have done projects, for example, Timor-Leste, East Timor. First of all, to determine what is the accessibility for example, primary healthcare. Or to say it in other words, what is the percentage of the population that live within, let us say, 5 kilometer distance? 5 kilometers is 1 hour walking distance. So what is the percentage of the population that live within 5 kilometer distance? And so I think also for that, a lot of analytics is needed, and that's also what we developed. And then the second question is, if we would like to improve that, where should we place new hospitals or primary healthcare centers in such a way that with minimal number of extra healthcare centers, we increase the coverage, and the population that has such a facility within 5 kilometers is increased the most. So that's typically in our dialect facility location type problems. I think there's a lot of much need for that. So we did it in Timor-Leste, but also in Vietnam, in Nepal, in Vietnam for stroke centers, in Nepal for COVID-19 test centers, but also in Kenya and other countries. But I think much more can be done there. So that is, I think, one of our aims, to also have a great contribution in optimizing accessibility to healthcare for global health.
So finally, when you think about this year's meeting and the new name, Analytics Plus, how does this resonate with you in the work that you do? Essentially, how does analytics drive your passion and amplify the impact you are making?
I really like the name Analytics Plus, because I think it's also, for me, it's also means Analytics Plus is broadening the scope. So I think I would also like to broaden the scope in application to the NGO world, to the Sustainable Development Goals world. So in that sense, I think this new name fits very well with my mission that I have when I go to the conference. It's also for my keynote that I will deliver.
Dick, it has been such a pleasure speaking with you today. I am so looking forward to meeting you in person in Indianapolis this spring, not too far away, at the 2025 Informs Analytics Plus conference. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me today. Everyone, thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and comment down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts on my interview with Dick and his upcoming session at the 2025 Informs Analytics Plus conference. All right, see you next time.